The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's coffee break webinar on how to manage and eliminate invoice disputes. My name is Lindsay O'Brien, and I'm the brand manager of Anytime Collect, an automated accounts receivable software. A little bit about Anytime Collect before we get started. It's an end-to-end collections management software. It allows for automated invoice presentment, automated communications, and emails sent out to customers, credit risk management, and invoice dispute management, among other features. It helps increase efficiency while also decreasing time spent on AR. Our customers are saving about 600 hours a year that they were previously doing manual activities. So let's jump into today's topic. If my screen wants to change. All right, in our quick 20-minute webinar, we will be covering common reasons invoices end up in dispute, how to prepare your department to eliminate or reduce invoice disputes before they happen, and what you can do to resolve the disputes. So common reasons for invoice disputes. In a lot of accounts payable departments, they're not allowed to make a payment on an invoice if there's no attached purchase order. From a source, CFO.com, they did a study and they found that 49% of companies cited invalid or missing purchase order information as a reason for non-payment. As a result, customers simply won't make a payment on the invoice. In some ERPs, you have the ability to require a purchase order when creating an invoice. So this is an option if your ERP is able to function with this feature. But if it's not an option, it's important to make sure that every single invoice that you're sending out has the purchase order attached. It's also important to note that the information on the purchase order needs to be correct. If the information is invalid, you can guarantee that there'll be a dispute on the invoice. This study also showed that 11% of respondents claimed that they had never received the invoice. So once an invoice has gone past due and the customer hasn't paid on it, you might find that many dispute it because they have never received the invoice. This can happen for a lot of reasons. The invoice may have been sent to the wrong person at the company. We find that a lot of people that are invoicing customers who have a parent and a subsidiary relationship company, if you're invoicing the subsidiary company, a lot of these companies are making payments from the parent company. So you might be sending the invoice to the wrong mailing address or the wrong email for the company. It's important to check in every once in a while with your customers to make sure that all of your contact information is up to date and that the email addresses you're using are still valid. Sending invoices too late. As soon as you deliver your product or services, you need to be sending out an invoice. If you're sending them out, in a batch every 2 weeks, but you extend net 30 terms to your customers, they may be receiving the invoice too late to be able to review, approve, and process the payment. Especially in larger businesses, they usually have a long process to finally release payment that can take several weeks. So it may seem like a lot of work to do manually instead of batching these invoices and sending them out every couple of weeks, which is why it's important to consider using an automated system because this can help reduce invoice disputes. As soon as the invoice is created in the ERP system, that invoice can just be sent out to the customer via email. Sloppy invoice design. So a lot of companies that are using ERP systems have invoices that are made in a template that can just simply be used, but a lot of these are known for being kind of bad templates. Customers will struggle to pay your invoice if they can't find the information they need right in front of them, and then your invoice gets pushed to the bottom of the list of what they're going to pay. So your job as a collector is to make paying the invoice as easy as possible. So make sure that the remit to, the due date, and the payment options are very clearly marked and easy to read. It's helpful to use invoice templates, so you simply have to drop in the customer's information and the invoices are uniform and optimized for quick payment. So just because you're using the invoice templates that are in your ERP, think about maybe making your own that might be optimized for a quicker payment from your customers. No contact. So with that study that was conducted by CFO.com, 27% of finance executives said customers didn't pay on time because they were unable to contact someone to resolve the issue. It's very likely that you're buried in work, from making calls daily to sending out emails, analyzing accounts for lack of payment, and dealing with disputes. We found that a lot of businesses fail to adequately staff their accounts receivable department, and you might be one of those. So a lot of this means sending out payment reminders gets buried underneath the day-to-day work that you're trying to get done. It's important to prioritize your day and workflow to know exactly which accounts need to be contacted first based on their aging and the amount due. This can be another area that is accomplished by using automation, where you simply log in and the system will tell you what to do first and has all the associated information for those accounts right there for you on the front page. Getting it to the right person. So we kind of touched on this slightly in the previous slides, but it's just that important. So we have a scenario up on the screen now. You're selling a product or service to Bob, and Bob was able to authorize the sale for the service that you're providing to them, but he's not responsible for processing that payment. There's someone else in the accounts payable department that's doing that. So maybe Bob travels a lot and your invoice is sitting on his desk, but it's going to be sitting there for well after the due date. So once an account is transferred from your sales department to the accounts receivable department, it's important to make sure that you have a really good relationship with your sales department, so that they are able to flesh out all the information before the deal is closed and get you all the right contacts for the accounts payable department and who you should be sending those invoices to, and then you can hit the ground running. 13% of invoice disputes are related to non-billing issues. So in all reality, these aren't really anybody in the accounts receivable department's fault. These non-billing issues can be broken or defective products, product nonconformity issues, disagreements around services. But you still have a stake in this in your department, so it's important to have good relationships with all the department heads, to be able to go to them and make sure that they're proactively trying to eliminate these issues before it ends up in dispute in your department. So how can you be proactive in your department to eliminate the issues before they arise? Tracking common disputes to proactively eliminate them. So keep a tally, list off what your common disputes are, and see over the next couple of months what's coming up over and over again, and then figure out a process of how you can go through and make sure that you're getting rid of those disputes before they even happen, whether that's, as we talked about before, they might not be able to know where the remit to date is, or the remit to is on your invoices. So make sure that you're going through and looking at your invoice templates and making sure that they're easily looked at. Offer payment plans. So even though they might be disputing the invoice and you're not getting all of the payment at once, you can set up payment plans with your customers so that you're at least earning some of that cash flow over a certain period of time. Call customers often and stay on top of your best primary contacts. Find out if they're moving, find out if there's turnover. And then finally, send invoices as soon as the product or service was delivered. So what can you do to resolve the issues? We suggest using automation. This can automatically send invoices as soon as the invoice is created in your ERP system. Automatically attaches purchase orders to the invoice, so that you don't have to worry about that purchase order not going out with the invoice. Using payment reminders. So the invoice might have gone past due. A payment reminder instantly goes out via email to your customers. Using invoice templates that are already in your automation system that typically tend to be better than the ones that are in your ERP system. Using automated alerts. which are in automation that will alert you when something's gone past due so that you can stay on top of those customers and call them. And also having invoice dispute tracking available to you so that you're not having to manually create a list of those disputes that are occurring over and over again. So that's all that we had today for our 20-minute webinar. So we've got about half the time left that if we do have any questions, I'm going to send out a poll right now for all of you to answer. And feel free while you're answering this poll to let me know if you have any questions related to invoice disputes, related to automation. Feel free to type that in the question box. We don't have any questions coming in right now. Make sure you get those in if you do have a question. And if you do have a question, but you don't want to ask it right now, or maybe you think of something later, my email is available on the screen. So feel free to send me an email if you think of anything later. Make sure to write that down. And these coffee break webinars we do once a month. They're always 20 minutes long, or today, we didn't have any questions, so it can be a little shorter. Take a break, learn something new about accounts receivable, learn some new tips and tricks each month. All right, well, we don't have any questions today. Oh, there we go. She's asking if this is a bolt-on program that will work with common software like QuickBooks. It absolutely is. We are available in the QuickBooks Marketplace. We are available if you have another ERP system, if anybody else on this webinar, for Intact or NetSuite. We do have our software available in the Marketplace. And we do have integrations with a bunch of other ERPs. All right, well, if there are no more questions, then we will close the webinar for today. Make sure that you head over to anytimecollect.com and sign up for some of our other webinars that are available. Have a great day, everybody.